call Adrian Ruderapi.
Nā koe e te hea mana o te whare. So I want to first of all go to the supplementary order papers 165 and 164. So typically in settlement bills, and members will be familiar with this, is that there are three significant parts from my point of view which make up the apology. There is the historical context, which is summarised by the agreed history, which is within the deeds of settlement and summarised within the bills. There's the acknowledgements that come out of the historical context. So the Crown acknowledges the breaches, and then after that there's the Crown apology. So there's three parts to that. What I want to draw from that model to what we have here today within the Minister's supplementary order paper, which deals with the acknowledgement and part of the history, and we have in the supplementary order paper by the Honourable Nanaia Mahuta, which looks at the historical context and supplies the apology. I think all three components are very important. I stand to support the historical context, the acknowledgement and the apology. To me, if you have only the acknowledgement, then you're missing two very important components from a model which is expressed within every single settlement that has been through this House, or particularly the later one. I think some of the earlier ones had a different model. My point in supporting this as an apology is that it expresses that to every single Māori in this country that has not had the opportunity to speak our own language, and I include myself in that as well. I've struggled with learning Te Reo Māori, and I would love to be able to complete this entire debate within Te Reo Māori, but I don't have that ability. I think that if I look at my own situation, and I mentioned this in my first contribution, there has been historical and intergenerational trauma attached to Te Reo Māori. So we can talk about it, and many members in the House have spoken about that. But let's give it a name. Historical and intergenerational trauma, because acts that happened, for example, the Native Schools Act 1867 and other actions within the education system meant that my grandmother, my grandparents were all hit for speaking Te Reo Māori. And so they protected their children. They protected their children, in my instance, by insisting that their children respond to them in English. That they would speak to them in Te Reo Māori, but they had to respond in English so that when they went to school, they were not beaten. And then the next generation did not have the native speakers of the reo in our homes, because our parents spoke mainly English. Now, I think that every person of my generation and the next generations also that have not had the opportunity to speak our own language as a first language should be apologised to. I think just simply acknowledging that something has gone wrong is not enough. And I stand in support of the supplementary order paper that the Crown apologises to iwi Māori for the detrimental effects of its policies that have caused, in my opinion, historical and intergenerational trauma which we still sustain today. So Mr. Chair.
Adrian Rudrafi.
So I just want to quickly also move to the part of the bill that talks about providing means to support and revitalise the Māori language. What isn't defined is how you quantify the revitalisation of the Māori language. What we do know is from statistics, both from those who have never had the opportunity to learn Te Reo Māori and those that have, is that over a period of time, the number of Te Reo Māori speakers has reduced quite considerably, over 4% in a period of 12 years from 2001 to 2013. My question is, how do we quantify that? Do we leave it to Te Mātāwai who determine the strategy, Te Maihi Māori, and the Crown who determine Te Maihi Krauna, to quantify that? Or do we put in, I certainly want to talk about my expectation around what revitalisation of Te Reo Māori actually means, because there's no, that's not defined within the bill. From my perspective is that every single person who has been denied the opportunity to speak and to learn Te Reo Māori ought to have that opportunity, and that the level, as my colleague Kelvin Davis has said, that the number has increased and that those who are not fluent in Te Reo Māori raise their level of fluency. And I think that that would be helpful in the future for Te Mātāwai and for the Crown to be able to determine their strategies. So, Mr. Speaker, that's all I have on this part of the bill for now. And ngā mihi nui kia koutou katoa e tuku atu ā rātou whakaro i Te Reo Māori. Tēnā koutou.
Kelvin Davis.